Hello and welcome back to another episode of That Podcast. My name is Ryan Janke and I'm joined by Sarah DeLura, Sarah DeYoung, and Pastor DJ Lura. My head was getting ahead of me.
You got to throw your name in there, and then we'll just have a big celebrity conglomerate for that podcast.
That's true. That's true. Do we need to start that over? No.
I'm trying to think what that would be.
Sarah's a one and done.
You know, I mean,
no editing.
I will tell you this: it's not the worst thing that somebody's construed my last name to be. One time, I was on North Dakota Today, and I will forever talk about this.
I was on there too. I was with a chicken.
Yeah, I was there with you for that too.
Local celebrities.
Yeah.
Ryan Janke and Sarah DeYoung. How'd they say your name?
So Chris Berg asked me how to pronounce my name, and my go-to is always D as in the letter, Young as in the opposite of old. He's like, oh, that's kind of like a DJ name. So unprompted, this is for my senior project for my Bateman project. So Ryan knows about this.
Yeah.
So you do this whole setup of like, you go on the news, you do this big hoopla for it. Unprompted, we're live on air, and he's like, I'm with it. It was my friend Katie with me. He's like, Caitlin Thompson and DJ Sarah DeYoung. And after that, I was like, man, it's a good thing nobody watches North Dakota Today.
You know, I was thinking about it. If the timing would have been right, and you said, "How do you spell your name?" You'd been like, the H is silent. It's just Sarah.
Yep.
Just go full share.
Just Sarah.
First name.
Didn't you change it to a silent P at the beginning of Sarah?
Not yet.
Oh, silent P, silent H.
So you were on North Dakota Today.
Yeah. Yep. Zach and I were.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Talking about
I
Zach Mathis.
Yeah. I was a pirate and Zach was a chicken. It was to promote Spooktacular. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I remember this well because now that you mention it, I was at the orthodontist with my kids, and I was fixated on the TV. And I was like, almost to the point of being like, no one touched the TV because I'm waiting to see my guys come on there. And I missed it. I never got to see you guys. And so I had to go look it up after the fact because for whatever reason, either I was speaking to the orthodontist or something, but I totally missed it.
No.
And but it was good. I went back and looked at it. Good stuff.
Well, again, Chris Berg just loved the, where is this happening at? And I was the pirate, so I said 4601 South University. And I mean, he was saying that all the way out the door, like after the cameras.
He had a really good time with that because Zach was dressed up as a chicken, and we were giving him just a beating all day. We're like, come on, Chicken Little. And he like brought this up, and Chris Berg's like, you know what, man, don't stand for that. You're Big Bird. And he like gave him a pep talk.
Yep.
Oh, Zach.
Good times.
Yep.
He was such a good sport.
He was.
Such a good sport.
He was a good sport. Missed that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But we're on to different holidays now.
We are
It's not
on
Halloween time.
No, it's St. Valentine's Day. The only thing I think of with St. Valentine's Day is the St. Valentine's Day massacre in Chicago.
That's the only thing you think of?
How do you celebrate that?
Your poor wife.
Yeah. I was going to get you flowers. Instead, here's just a bundle of knives.
Yep. Actually, I have a shirt from the Mob Museum in Las Vegas that because we went to the Mob Museum and they have a section of the wall that has the bullet holes in it or the bullet chips in it from the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Mm-hmm. So I bought a shirt that's got St. Valentine's Day Massacre on it and the wall all shot up.
Well, I was going to ask, like, what's your most memorable St. Valentine's Day? But I think you just named it.
Yeah, the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, of course.
The massacre.
Oh, goodness. Do you guys remember making Valentine's Day boxes as kids?
Yes.
I get so excited to see like what kids do nowadays too.
Oh man, and with like the internet, you can go on there and get great ideas on like Pinterest and other places on how to make all these. Is Pinterest still a thing? I'm so old.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so
It is, yeah. Unfortunately.
One year we made Addie. It was when it was really big. We made her a Minion Valentine's Day box when I think she was in like first or second grade.
Did she win first place?
She won first place.
Really?
Yeah.
And then Reese, when she was in second grade, we made her an Angry Birds green pig.
Yeah.
One, and she won first place.
Really?
Yeah. Dylan, We give them a bag.
Well, this is how I know that the like bar has changed is I remember I got second place one year for getting like a heart-shaped box, and I made it look like a conversation heart. That was in like 2004.
Very
so that was like,
cool.
oh, look at how nice this is. Psh, would have been last place compared to all
Nothing
the
now.
cool ones now.
Well,
I was in third grade, and we were making the Valentine's Day boxes for school, and this is a century ago. This is back in the 20s.
But wait till you hear about mine. Go ahead, though.
Well, I had nowadays, like, Legos are super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they look just like what they are, but back in the day, it was
They're
all
as big as Tinker Toys.
exactly. Back in the day, they were just the little yellow guys, and you could get either spaceships or like construction crew people. And then they came out with these new things, these medieval Legos, and I got a castle.
Okay.
And so I had a box, and I, took the box, and I think I used gray construction paper around it, and then I built on top of it this castle. And to give the Valentine, you had to put down the drawbridge, and then it would close up.
Nice.
Coolest thing I've
That's
ever
a really
made.
cool one.
Now,
Yeah.
did they have prizes like first place and all that kind of stuff back then, or did that come out later? Because we didn't have it.
No, it was a Scandinavian community, so I had a little bit of the looking at me like, what, you think you're better than everyone else?
Show off.
Calm down there.
He didn't even get the participation trophy.
I was more like Charlie Brown. No one gave me a
I
Valentine.
got a rock.
So, but yeah, they didn't have Craigle back in that day, so I would have crazy glued that thing and kept it in
Nice.
place forever. But I didn't think about that. I think I tore it apart like that evening and made other stuff because it's Legos.
Well, don't let me forget about Gorilla Glue now that you talked about that.
Oh, are we going to talk? No.
Do you want to just talk about it now? I was going to talk about my Valentine's Day
We'll talk about
box.
your Valentine's Day box.
I don't remember what year it was, but my grandma's a listener. My grandma helped me make a boombox.
Cool.
With the way that you put the Valentine in there was you opened up the tape deck and then put the
Man.
Valentine in there. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
way cooler than a Lego castle.
Yeah.
That's straight up 80s.
Yep.
That just-
so 80s.
I feel like did you walk into school with it like up on your shoulder?
I don't
With your,
remember. I likely did.
Did you stand in the back of the room with it over your head like
John Hughes style.
John Hughes?
The guy thinks he's Run DMC around here. Yep. That was cool. Yeah, the little tape deck popped open. You put the Valentine in.
You know what? If you did come with Adidas kicks on
Oh, yeah.
and a tracksuit, then you would have been. That is Run DMC.
Yep.
As good as it gets.
Yep. That was cool. Yeah.
Well, I can remember one Valentine when I was dating Melissa. We were in college. I thought I was so romantic. I went to
Smooth.
Yeah, I thought I was smooth. Gosh, she put up with so much with me. I'm so lucky to have her. I took her for Valentine's Day on a very romantic dinner. We went to Hardee's.
Nice.
And I set up a table. And the guy that was working, the manager, was so juiced that I was like,
Did you bring a tablecloth in?
I brought a tablecloth in. I brought
man.
candles. And
Just stop the recording now if my wife hears this.
You're setting the bar too high, DJ.
And the guy was like, "This is so cool." Mel was not impressed. She just put up with my antics as I'm like, I'm the most romantic guy ever. And then I got her like a Hardee's hot ham and cheese sandwich. Not the most romantic, not the great, but it's the one that I remember most for some odd reason, just because I was trying to be creative and failed miserably.
Well, I don't remember if this was for Valentine's Day or not, but there used to be an Italian restaurant here in town. Neither one of you will probably remember it. It is where the Vision Bank is right now on 25th Street, and I can't remember the name of that. But you could. I think there was even a drive-through. But Tabitha was coming over to my place, and I told her I'm going to make her a nice meal.
It was right
You
there by.
cheated.
Wait, hold on. It was right there by Rowe Farm.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't remember that place at all. I used to live down that way.
yeah. It was where Vision Bank is.
Okay.
I thought it started with a V, but I can't remember now.
It's Valentino's.
No, Valentino's was on 42nd.
Oh.
I miss that place too. So anyway, I went over there and I bought all the
You
stuff.
Mrs. Doubtfired it.
Yeah, but I'm a moron, so I left the box and all the bag and everything. I just thought, well, I'm going to shove this in the oven because she'll never look in there. Yeah, I was wrong.
She looked in the oven.
I don't remember how she found out, but she.
I mean, in her defense, I would say if you're saying that your favorite Valentine's memory is the St. Valentine's massacre, I would check. I would snoop around when I had a free moment, just to be on the safe side.
She knew me for 5 years before we started dating, so she knew exactly what she was getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And willingly went forward.
So Gorilla Glue.
Well, Sarah, do you have one you want to share too, or no?
No, I'm alone.
Fair enough.
I do. I'm very lucky, and I've got all of my friends are married, and so all of like my best friends send me flowers every year, and so do my parents.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I do get to be a little bit of a show off because I'm like, oh, you guys are married. I still got more flowers than you.
That's right. Very good. Very
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
So Gorilla
Glue.
Glue.
Yeah, do you know the Gorilla Glue story?
Are you talking about the woman who had Gorilla Glue put in her hair?
Well,
I haven't read the story, but
she put it in there willingly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because so I'm not up on all my hair products now. I don't have
There's
any
a
DJ Lura's liturgical hair gel.
Well, so not the Gorilla Glue, but
half the strength of Gorilla Glue.
This is it's called some sort of
there's-
glue,
there-
right?
It's got to be glued. It's like so. Got to be is the brand of it, and it's this very like sticky, holds down everything hairspray.
Mm-hmm.
And for my understanding, is this woman
She ran out.
she ran out and was like, "Well, I hear all the time that people use like Gorilla Glue for stuff. This has to be like better."
Did she go buy it, or was it like laying
No, I
around
think
the
she went
garage?
and bought it.
Oh.
And I've also seen a lot of people who like try
Why-
to justify because there's also like a hair gel called Gorilla Snot. So people are like, "Well, what if she got it confused for this?" I don't know.
Well, she won't confuse that again. Her hair is cemented down to her head.
Oh my goodness.
She had a video, and it's like
They can't even shave her head.
no.
Is Gorilla? I've never used Gorilla Glue. I've heard of it. Is it as sticky as like Crazy Glue?
Let's put it this way: don't use it unless you want whatever you're using to stick.
Oh my good. Have you ever used like Crazy Glue on any type of adhesive and just get even just a little bit on your hands?
Uh huh. Yeah.
I mean, your fingers are stuck together for a couple days.
yeah. Yep.
She did that on her head.
She used it on her hair. Yeah.
Oh no.
And it. I mean, her hair is so flat and stuck down that it looks like her hair is part of her scalp, like part of the skin.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be miserable. I don't know how she's. I mean, eventually it'll have to wear.
Did she have to
off,
go to the
right?
doctor?
I don't know what she did.
She went to the ER. I've been keeping up with this on Twitter because it just blows my mind. So she went to the ER and they told her to use acid. She went to the ER because it was making her head so tight that she like was having tension headaches.
Oh my goodness.
So then they went to the ER, told her to use acetone. She ended up burning her scalp, so she couldn't use it anymore. And I've seen a lot of TikToks of people being like, I tested this on an extension. Like I covered one of my extensions in Gorilla Glue and I've been testing like try Goo Gone. And they've been trying all this stuff basically. She was able to cut her ponytail, like she had her hair back in a ponytail. Got that part off. So there's like a small window of un-Gorilla Glued hair now, but I have not heard
Okay,
how
so
much further she got.
have you ever gone through the old yarn of getting gum in your hair and using peanut butter to get it out?
Oh,
Wouldn't it be
no.
great if like peanut butter would fix this?
Yeah.
Just put a little peanut butter in there and it just slides right off.
That might work.
Well, okay, copyright trademark DJ Lura. Try peanut butter.
Yeah, it's crazy what works. I got a nosebleed one time while I was at work for the city, and I didn't have any paper towels or anything.
Did you use peanut butter?
I was in a mower. All I had was my shirt, so I used my shirt, and everybody's like, "Well, you might as well throw that away." Took it home, put it on a plate, poured a can of Coke all over it. Man, that's the cleanest shirt I had.
You're kidding.
Nope, took it all out.
Did it burn through the shirt too?
No, it was clean.
Have you seen what Coke does to like computers and stuff?
No.
Oh, go look
I'm-
it up sometime.
It's fake.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry. Darn it. I ruined that for both you and Margine because one day Margine showed me this video of like somebody using Red Bull on like an egg and all of this, like a loaf of bread and all this random stuff and like pair of keys. And like the first one was like, oh, that looks pretty good. And then they like got to the egg and they like pulled out a jellified like egg. So,
So
whole thing's fake.
What is the, like, on the keys or the computer? What are the videos show?
It eats through the computer. They do like a timestamp, and you watch as it just corrodes and melts it basically down into nothing. But that's fake, huh? Because I have used Coke at an auto mechanic suggestion to clean off a car battery.
Yeah. Yep.
That it worked better than he thought it worked better than warm water. But I know warm water does the same thing. But boy, it just bubbled and pulled all that corrosion right off. So I'm thinking, ooh, my insides are probably sparkly.
You can also use it to clean your toilet.
Really?
Side note.
Well, I tell you what, it
works for me.
I mean, I'm sure we've all had blood stains on something before, and you cannot get that out. I just let it soak in that Coke bath all night long.
Did you try cold water?
No.
That's like
maybe I did.
That's an old time one.
You know, Ryan, I'm beginning to think that Valentine's Day brings out just a rage in you. You got the Valentine's Day massacre, and then
bloody noses.
We've all had blood stains on our,
I just don't think this is a good follow up because last week we were talking about Reese being a mob boss. I just think that there's some underlying messaging.
Well, Reese has been recruiting. From what I hear, the mafia is growing.
She's wearing it like a badge of honor, from what I understand. Yeah. Yeah. If she comes in wearing a fedora on Wednesday night.
Pinstripes.
Yep. So.
Mr. Janky, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. How can you insult me like this?
I'll come on your podcast.
Well, anyway, so Valentine's Day is a very popular holiday, and it's associated with romantic love. But did you know it is actually named after a Christian saint and is traditionally a Christian holiday? And don't make the mistake that I do and listen to like the History Channel or any of these shows. They always seem to do this. We mentioned this with previous holidays, that they almost try to re-paganize Christian holidays after the fact. And that's the case with St. Valentine's Day too. St. Valentine was a saint. He was martyred for the faith. And for the longest time, St. Valentine's Day didn't have anything to do with love or romantic love as it does today. But there's this thinking that, well, it comes from this Roman holiday that was connected with the month of February called Lupercalia. And it has nothing to do with it, except from the fact that Lupercalia is on the 15th of February, and was popular as kind of like a fertility ceremony. They would take and sacrifice a goat and a dog. The dog was for cleansing, and the goat was for fertility. And then they would spritz the blood of the sacrifices on the crops and, oddly enough, women. And women were like standing in line to have this done.
Talk about romantic.
Oh yeah, but it was the priests of the Roman cult, and so they were like official priests of Rome, right? And so they would carry out these different celebrations in the name of idols and their gods and so on. And Lupercalia was connected with Romulus and Remus, who were considered the founders of Rome and were actually thought to be descendants of the Trojans. And that's why there's this animosity between the Greeks and the Romans in the ancient world. Anyway, it has nothing to do with St. Valentine's Day. It really doesn't. But it's one of those things where if you go in after the fact and say, those Christians, they took over all these places and got rid of all the old pagan festivals. Oh, these ones are similar in time. But originally, St. Valentine's Day had nothing to do with love. And neither does Lupercalia. It has nothing to do with love. It has to do with the good crop season. It's really what it's for. And so St. Valentine was martyred in like around 300 AD, something like that. And 150 years after that, when Christians were no longer being persecuted openly in Rome, it became a feast day in honor of Saint Valentine, as he became known. It wasn't until
Hallmark?
Yes, the Hallmark. I'm telling you, the Hallmark conspiracy is huge.
That was a joke.
Hallmark 1850 begins printing out these cards about romantic love. But prior to 1850, that's when the cards start getting passed around, and that's Hallmark today.
Mm-hmm.
It was a guy named Jeffrey Chaucer who brought romantic love and like images of Cupid and all that stuff into St. Valentine's Day with a poem that he wrote. Now, who is Jeffrey Chaucer? Jeffrey Chaucer, I want to say he lived like around 1300, 1400. Famous writer from England. Look up Jeffrey Chaucer. He wrote all kinds of things that you've probably heard of, maybe others you haven't. Fascinating life. If you want to know who Jeffrey Chaucer is, go and watch the movie to give you an idea, A Knight's Tale. Because in that movie, for those of you who don't know, A Knight's Tale has like the late, great Heath Ledger is in that movie. The guy who plays Vision in the Avengers movies is Jeffrey Chaucer in the movie A Knight's Tale. And it's a fun little movie that speaks about that time when like jousting was the big sport and people were totally into it, but you had to be like a noble to do it. And so you have these peasants that decide that they're going to work together, and they get Jeffrey Chaucer to do all the official writing for them.
Nice.
So go check it out and you'll learn more about Jeffrey Chaucer. He wrote a poem called Parliament of Fowls. And in there he mentions about love between two people on St. Valentine's Day. And from that point on, it took on a new meaning. That the term lovebirds got tied into February being the beginning of spring and romantic love coming forward in spring, all of that. And it can be traced back to Jeffrey Chaucer. Prior to that, St. Valentine's Day had nothing to do with romantic love or Cupid or or Hallmark cards. And it's in the 1850s when Hallmark got a hold of this bad boy. I don't know if it was actually Hallmark, but they're running the show now.
Yep.
And it became about poetry and unrequited love and romantic gestures toward their spouse. So, there you go. The Christian church was the starting point for St. Valentine's Day, regardless of what it is today.
Cool. Chaucer wrote the Canterbury
Tales.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Sarah, you look like you got something to say.
I was going to plug in, more importantly than Valentine's Day, in about 2008, 2009 was the invention of Galentine's Day on February 13th.
I want to hear more. What is that?
Galentine's Day.
What is that from?
Parks and Rec. Leslie knows.
Something like Festivus?
It sounds like it. You know what Festivus is, right?
Yeah.
Galentine. What is Galentine's Day?
Galentine's Day is when you celebrate like your shared love with all of your girlfriends, like you're all women hanging out, appreciating one another.
Solidarity Day. Cool. That's actually nice.
Yeah.
That sounds really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. It's interesting. Galentine's Day.
Yep.
Okay.
The thing about Valentine's Day that gets me, though, is that we are pushed as a culture that you have to make, if you're in a relationship, you have to make some gesture of fidelity and love. And it's, I guess I'm not romantic, but as a Christian, when we talk about like marriage, it's not one day where you decide to finally honor your spouse. When you make that marriage promise beginning on your wedding day, it's really a promise that every day I'm going to choose to honor you more than myself. And honoring means that I will look to your needs and wants as being more important than my own. You don't need one day to do that.
Right.
But society
Hallmark does,
society says buy a card, get flowers. So there's this conspiracy between the card company and whoever makes roses.
Yeah.
So they're working together.
There's a lot of shaming that'll go on if.
Oh, look, you might have a spouse say to you, "You don't need to get me anything." Don't listen to them. Don't take them at their word. They're saying what they think you want to hear. Go get them something.
That's their way of reminding you.
Right. Oh, I don't need anything. Okay. All right. Just see how February 15th feels if you don't show up with something on February 14th.
Yep. You know, it's another interesting thing, and this is like Christmas and other holidays. It's always on the same day every year, but it always creeps up.
Right.
Oh, no.
That was today.
Yep.
Anyway, so Valentine's Day is coming up. Please remember that love is a gift from God. That St. Valentine's Day was originally started as the feast day in honor of the martyr St. Valentine, who died under Roman persecution, and recognize that Valentine's Day doesn't have to be just one day with special stuff.
You know what would be cool? Valentine's Day is a Sunday this year, but if you like having just a little separate like video or service talk about like Christian love, God's love for you, etc.
I love it. But that'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's getting too mushy around here.
You're gonna start talking about the massacre again, Ryan.
You should edit the video you made earlier and just send it with, and happy Valentine's Day.
I made a video earlier today. It'll probably go out sometime somewhere. I didn't bring the egg in. I had a raw egg that I cracked and put on the sidewalk outside.
Oh, to freeze it?
Yeah, froze it solid.
Nice.
Yeah, yep.
DJ
thought there was pepper in there, but it was actually sand from the sidewalk when Baird scraped it off.
City salt that has corroded.
We froze bananas last year.
I froze one again this year, and then it froze my fingers. Yep.
Wear gloves.
Well, Margene suggested that, and I did.
Bananas or wearing gloves?
Wearing gloves. Yep. But I reminded her that it's not frostbite; it's a snow tan.
I wonder what 20 below weather would do to Gorilla Glue.
I don't know.
I don't know if it would help or hurt or make it worse. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't
Try
want to
peanut
find
butter. Try peanut butter. Just give it a shot. Skippy, Jif.
I can see DJ seeking this woman out.
Do they still make Peter Pan peanut butter? Go give that a shot.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Reese's peanut butter. I'm telling you.
Just put Reese's peanut butter cups on your head. When all else fails, you'll at least eat your feelings and it'll feel better.
Exactly.
If you see that video of that poor woman, you're just gonna go, "Oh man."
Well, now I'm gonna have to go YouTube it later.
Oh, it looks just terrible.
Ugh.
And by that I mean like painful, terrible.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, and who was the person who put it in her hair? Did she do it herself?
Yeah. It's my understanding, and Sarah, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the stuff that she originally used was like a spray.
Mm-hmm.
But this wasn't a spray.
Yes, it was.
It was the spray Gorilla Glue?
Yeah.
Really?
It was like the big orange, like nozzle top of it.
Oh. Well, either way, there was an error in judgment on her part.
Oofta.
It's the one thing. So like, as like women, like when you do your hair, if you put it up, you get your flyaways. You don't want flyaways. But Gorilla Glue is not the way to go to get rid of them.
Flyaways.
You know, little like.
You keep using
baby
that word.
hairs.
I do not think it means what you think it means. What?
Like your little baby hairs.
Have you seen my hair?
Yeah.
I have Pastor Laura's liturgical goo in here that makes Gorilla Glue look like running water. And it keeps it. I have no flyaways.
See? So you should know about flyaways. You know, if you ever like do your hair and you get like a couple that are just
wispies?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Huh. What word are you saying? You keep using that word?
Well, she said flyaways, and I'm like, you keep using that word.
Oh.
I do not think it means what you think it means.
What else does it mean?
I don't know. That just Princess Bride line came to my head.
See, this is a movie I haven't seen all the way through.
Bite your tongue.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
never seen Princess Bride all the way through?
Aren't you're a hater towards it, aren't you?
I'm telling the satrams.
Well, you can tell them. They won't have any more sway than my wife, and she's wanted me to watch this many times already.
I'm surprised because Andre the Giant is in this movie.
Yeah. He couldn't even save it.
Whoa. He made the movie.
And
You can fast forward just to Andre's scenes and it's just delightful.
I should
So
watch
good.
it sometime because I hear this everywhere, but I don't know. I watched bits and pieces of it, and I was like, eh.
There's a lot of great movie lines in there.
I have been told I have an obscure taste for music and movies, though. So,
Well, fair enough.
yep.
I'm sorry to say, Ryan, my opinion of you has actually gone down just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little
just
bit.
a smidge.
He had to move the dirt in order for it to go down anymore.
All right. So what else do we got going on? We've just been goofing.
Valentine's
Oh, that's
Day.
jokes.
What else is going on this week?
Actually, I wanted to follow up on last week's episode
Oh, no.
because we started talking about Elon Musk
Yeah.
and his Neuralink chip that he put in the gorilla or the monkey so that the monkey could play video games with its mind.
Yeah.
And then you said, DJ,
Yes.
that you think that within 20 years, we'll be able to enter and exit the Matrix.
Oh, I don't think. I know.
Hold on. Sarah, do you know what the Matrix is? Have you seen the Matrix?
I haven't seen the movie, but I get the gist of it.
Okay.
And I think I have a point saying as to why we won't.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you reach a point in your life where you stop keeping up with technology.
Okay.
So I think there'll be a generation of people who are entering and exiting the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
However, in 20 years, I'll be in my 40s. You guys will be
See, here's
60s?
here's the difference with the metaphor of the Matrix. The Matrix was a prison imposed on people that didn't know that they were in it.
They didn't know they were there.
Think more Ready Player One.
Never saw it.
Have you seen or heard Ready Player One? It's where the biggest parts of your life, your interaction with other people, will be done online. Think about what we've been doing for the last year, and
Zoom
how
and-
I mean it's becoming part of the culture. The technology keeps developing. It's probably even faster now, but we double everything we know every 2 years, and so things we couldn't even imagine. We already have. We have digital paint that you can put on your walls, and you have a sensor that's in your wall, like a temperature gauge, that's programmed to engage with the paint. You can change the color of your walls. That
what
already
Kim
exists.
Is that what Kim and Kanye's kid painted with this week? Did you hear about this?
No.
A big,
She didn't paint that.
big dust up this week. It wasn't that?
No.
Okay.
I don't think anybody painted that.
It's just an issue of cost, okay? And if you add to that, and I know I'm going to sound like really crazy here, but these are things that are already being developed out there. If we can figure out how to transfer the energy of the sun down to the earth, like via microwaves or lasers or something like that, and store them in batteries, well, you now have an unlimited source of power through solar panels that can be used everywhere effectively.
Okay.
So any complaints about like global warming or pollution of the planet will effectively come to an end. We're always going to need oil because oil makes everything.
Right.
But when we get to the point where we can have an unlimited power source, and we're on the cusp of having that too, we're going to be looking for new kinds of meaning, new kinds of ways of expressing ourselves and making relationships. And the technology of the internet is not going to go away. In fact, you have people trying to immerse themselves more and more into it. Think about where we were 10 years ago.
Right.
I can't go anywhere without my supercomputer in my pocket.
Right.
Well, it's not like that's going to go away. It's going to continue to be more and more interconnected with who we are.
Yeah.
We have the phones. You get the watch on.
So-
I'm not surprised that Elon Musk is going to like a neural link.
Yeah, implanted in their brain. So here's my question then. So
My point is the Matrix is something that would be completely
voluntary.
and actually a want, because that's where everything will be happening.
So, but you're thinking in order to make this happen, you'll likely have some sort of a chip or something implanted in you? Or would this be an external thing that you can turn on and, well, obviously you'd be able to turn it on and off any way as you wanted to, but would it be something that is like your PS5 where you just go turn it on and now I'm there? Or is this something that is permanently you're walking around with it in your head all
Yes
the time?
and yes.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Don't think like a microchip or anything like that. Just think of finding the most feasible way to interact with the technology that you have in order to do the things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the computer was when it first came around.
Yeah.
That's what the smartphone and was the next leap that got us to where we are now. And it's going to continue to become more and more virtual technology that we engage with all of our senses until the point that it's no longer you're not going to be able to discern what is real and what is virtual.
Okay.
Not because you're deluding yourself. It's because virtual will look exactly like real, except you'll be able to do things that you cannot do in the real world.
Right. But
you want to fly around like Superman? You fly around like Superman.
Well, you're saying you won't be able to distinguish between one and the other. We would be able to, because we've lived in the world as it is right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets to that point, we'll be able to. But our kids,
right?
They've never known a world without cell phone technology.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So is it going to get to that point?
Yeah. We will. Okay. 20 years from now, we'll be in our 60s, right?
Yep.
We will look at the technology there and just be, wow, that's really cool. And I can interact in a much more seamless way from my home. I can just go online and I'm virtually at the post office. I can just go online and I'm virtually across the world talking in a face-to-face conversation with someone that I met playing Mortal Kombat, or that's a very real possibility, and that's already happening, but not to the level where it's indistinguishable between reality and the virtual experience. And so we will remember and be amazed by it, but our grandkids and great grandkids, this is how it is.
So that brings me to, well, Sarah, did you have something? You looked like you might have had something.
Well, I was going to say, so to your second point of, is it something that you can turn on and off? We already have that, like VR.
Yeah.
VR goggles with your phone or whatever. So.
And that doesn't seem to be going away. You have some hits and misses, but that's where the technology is moving. And so it may not be goofy goggles. It may just be, you have your smartphone, you have a pair of glasses or sunglasses you put on, or whatever it may be, and you are immersed in that. Or I don't know what it would look like. You go into that egg thing that Darth Vader would go into.
Yeah.
All I can think of
so
is your kids might be too young for it, but Spy Kids 3, when they like go into the video game.
Yes.
That's all that I imagine this being like, is you go in the door. Okay, now you're in the video game.
Well, and maybe that's what you end up having a smart room in your smart home, because all those things are happening where you go in this room and it's like Star Trek's virtual reality, whatever they called it, hologram room or something like that.
Right.
And you sit down in a chair and you're in that experience.
Right. So my question though is, like you said, it's never going away.
Right. And
Elon has his Neuralink, which if that's put into your head, I mean, you obviously you're not going to get it out unless you can find somebody that can get it out for you.
Right.
So it's that slow progression, and I guess this is where I'm kind of going with this. How do we respond to this as Christians? Because you've been hearing about Mark of the Beast stuff for a very long time. I mean, when did the first Social Security card come out? And now, we just, we got our Social Security card. You can't do anything without your Social Security card. And so it's eventually going to be this slow progression to where, oh yeah, your child is born, they get a chip just like they get a Social Security card. And I mean, do you get where I'm going here?
Yeah, and that's gotten into the popular culture. Unfortunately, that's a misreading of Revelation, but it's become part of the popular culture that is a bit of fear of new technology, that you'll have the mark of the beast on your head and on your wrist, right?
Yep.
And that, whenever there's been something new that's come out, that's been the thinking. When the European Common Market was formed after World War II, well, that's... you had two things that happened. European Common Market was formed, and you had the nation of Israel being founded. And so there was this sense of that was the big dispensationalist worldview being pushed, that now that Israel is a nation again, all of the things that are in Revelation are going to begin to take place. And so the European Common Market was kind of seen as the Gog and Magog joining together that's going to make war. The Social Security cards or even computers, mark of the beast. So, and you'll have conspiracy theories like barcodes have 666 and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's to misunderstand the original point of those images in Revelation. It's not talking about a future event. It's talking about a mark that is already prevalent that Christians were facing in the first century, that is antithetical to the Christian mark. Those who are marked with Christ, what do they receive on their head?
Water, baptism, cross, yeah.
Baptism. And the argument in Rome was you need to amalgamate. You need to not, you can worship Jesus, that's fine, but don't forget to worship, the pre-St. Valentine's Day celebration. Don't forget to worship the emperor. Don't forget to do these things because that was part of human life. In fact, Christians early on were considered haters of humanity because they would only worship Jesus. Mm-hmm. And they were considered cannibals because they ate his flesh, and they were considered hedonistic because of their love feasts, which was just coming together, eating food, and celebrating the Lord's Supper. And so when John is talking about the mark of the beast, he's talking about that recognition that you belong to Rome or the powers of this world, and without those, you can't do anything. And is there a point where, and this had to do with an issue of like, can you eat a hamburger at McDonald's if you knew that the meat was sacrificed to an idol? And that in eating that hamburger, you were basically giving recognition to the power of Zeus or something like that. That's what happened in Rome. So Christians had a real problem of, can I trade in the marketplace? Can I be involved with the life of things without conforming to society and giving the false pretense that this stuff is okay and hold my Christian identity? That's what the mark of the beast is referring to, that you belong to worldly powers as compared to belonging to Christ. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so with new technology, there's always a fear of those things. And I look at some of the hopes that we could have with technology as not against God, but actually comes from God, as a rationalism, intellect, progression in medical advances. These are all good things. And the way to distinguish how a Christian should respond to is, these are just tools. Mm-hmm. Are these tools being used for the sake of my neighbor and do not require me to turn away from God in order to engage with them? Or do they cause harm to my neighbor? And a tool, a hammer can build and a hammer can destroy. Mm-hmm. That's what you have to think of with technology as well. Is this going to harm or is this going to help?
Yeah.
I think of like screen time with kids. We're discovering that a lot of screen time is not good for kids. And yet, for the last year, in order to have school, they've necessarily had to have screen time.
Right.
So it's finding that moderate balance with those different things. Here's a technology that's in the works that I think is going to just revolutionize everything. Nanotechnology. Imagine if you could put into your bloodstream a microscopic machine that could fix your cells at the cellular level. Well, we're developing that. Mm-hmm. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I don't know any of this stuff. That's the direction that technology is moving in.
Yeah.
And the things that speed these things up are supply and demand and cost. Mm-hmm. Like I said, with solar panels have gone way down in cost over the last decade. Mm-hmm. If we can just figure out how to store that energy long term, which Elon Musk also came out and was like, we have these heavy duty batteries now that we came out with. He's probably been sitting on them for about 4 or 5 years until it was worth it. Mm-hmm. But then to be able to, like, if you put on the moon like a gigantic solar panel and some type of transmission method, like I said, through microwaves or lasers, you have a permanent access to the sun that can then be beamed down to Earth and give power all over the place. Sounds crazy, sounds science fiction. I remember in the presidential election, the Republican Party, I can't remember what year it was, but Newt Gingrich was running, and he got lambasted by the press because he was talking about putting a base on the moon. Like, it was like, that's crazy talk. What are you talking about? Well, he's talking about this kind of stuff. The next advance, I mean, that's what all that stuff is for. It's the next advance, the next piece that's going to come. What does the Christian do? The Christian holds to Christ first and doesn't put their allegiance, or allegiance isn't the right word, but don't put your faith in worldly things. And be grateful for the amazing blessings that God brings in. I guess that's what that would be the advice that I would give to a Christian. If it bothers you, if it scares you, stay away from it. But if any type of advancement is for the good of your neighbor and you can use it in a way to love your neighbor and honors God, well, then that's fine. It's a tool. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and just like anything, this stuff is scary because it's beyond our understanding. And you can always imagine how that stuff can be misused.
Oh, yeah.
Like nanotech, what if it's not used to heal?
Right.
I mean, you're talking breakdown in a pretty nasty way, or a totally immersive experience, and you're the master of it.
Right.
Well, is your immersive experience going to be to go on a Valentine's Day massacre? To experience what that's like? Well, that's not good for you or for your neighbor. And that's where the line needs to be. Jesus is not going to become passé or outdated. Jesus continues to be the moral compass for us to engage with new technology and not to be exploited by or corrupted by the technology or others using that technology in ways that we may want, need, and desire.
Okay.
Good? Does that answer the original question?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, putting to bed a conspiracy theory sucks, because then what are you going to talk about?
Well, you can just tell me. You can say this: balderdash. The world is made of strings.
No, it does make sense. It does. And clinging to Christ is obviously.
The point of Revelation is just do it. Nike.
Yeah.
Which is, again, that was like the Roman Statue of Liberty. That was their symbol. The goddess Nike, the goddess of victory with a sword in the air. And if you look at Revelation, Babylon the harlot is pictured the same way, riding a six-headed beast, right? With a sword in the air. It's a warning of the world power that seems like it's got everything under control is really a facade. The true victor is Christ, the Lamb who was slain. And how that all comes about is not going to be a nice and neat timeline that is kind of the scenario of dispensationalists, that you're going to have, a mark placed on your wrist and on your head that will distinguish who you are. Now, if I had someone say, you need to renounce Jesus, and to show your renouncement, we're going to tattoo 666 on your wrist or your head, I'm probably going to say no to that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's not like it's going to be super subtle. Like the powers of the devil are not subtle. They're subtle to the world, but the point of Revelation is they should not be subtle to Christians, because it's going to have a rejection of Jesus tied into it. So what the point being is that Revelation is saying the victory is not with these worldly powers. That's not where the Nike happens. Nike happens with Jesus. So just do it, cling to Jesus, and he'll see you through it, even when it doesn't seem like you're winning.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 20 years, Matrix. That's what I got.
Are you ready, Ryan?
Okay.
No, thank you. Because I mean that's something that people do struggle with, though. And I'm sure that when the first Social Security numbers came out, that was a thing then, and cell phones now, and like you said, you carry them everywhere. They're with you all the time, and I think as people worry about things like cashless society and things like that, these are the things that are going to come up.
Right. Well, and it's also why God's word doesn't get old. It might get tedious to read it, but being in God's word every day helps you to then interpret the events that are happening in the world around you. Mm-hmm. It's not that the Bible changes. It's that the Bible is speaking a word to you in the midst of a changing world to help you make sense of it and how to keep your compass pointing north. Because all it takes is a slight deviation. Mm-hmm. That's, it's where all the best heresies are the old ones because they just repeat themselves over and over again. Just a slight deviation from God's intentions for you is what leads us astray. Mm-hmm. So we need to be daily in that relationship with God through his word, in prayer, among other Christians, to help to guide us with ethics and decisions of what's right and wrong. Like, for example, the CRISPR technology. Is it ethical to completely gene edit a human person? Mm-hmm. In other words, that you can make basically...
You can pick eye color.
That technology is there already, but it's not legal. Like, it's not allowed. Mm-hmm. But, if the progression of history has taught us anything, if we're not aware of what is right and wrong, we'll find situations where, well, let's give it a shot. Mm-hmm. Or let's change the laws because this company or these people can make a whole oodles of money with this new technology. There you get into some slippery stuff where the direction can be not to help but to harm. Right. Whereas in the reverse, CRISPR, I knew a family that a husband and wife really wanted a baby. They had a baby, beautiful baby, but because of some DNA markers in the dad and the mom, that's like 1 in 10 million chance of coming together. That child could not absorb the mother's food. It was actually poisoning the baby at a cellular level.
Wow.
Well, if you can gene edit that in advance, that removes a destructive part of the human DNA so that life can happen. Yeah. And going toward life is what we want to go toward. Not to be a society of death, but a society of life, a culture of life.
Right.
And that's what Christianity is all about, being a culture of life.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing with technology and Christianity that isn't recognized or talked about enough is, yes, it can be scary starting, these new things, but also look at the exciting part of, there's a potential of me being able to travel across the world to talk to somebody that I would never speak to before.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing?
You now have a safe way for people who are prosecuted in countries who can't be Christian to worship, to engage, to better their faith.
And you see kind of controls being placed on like the internet and other things like that. Mm-hmm. What ends up happening when you have that kind of oppression or suppression is people get creative and find ways around it in order to connect, and that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Until we can develop teleportation.
Yeah.
That's 40 years away.
The way to instantaneously interact with someone on the other side of the planet is really the internet. Mm-hmm. Think about even the ministry of the gospel out of atonement. Mm-hmm. In the midst of a pandemic, God put on our hearts to be creative, and now we can share the gospel with anyone, anywhere who has access to the internet.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a loud voice. And it may seem like, oh, that's no big deal because everyone has it, but how exciting is that the gospel can be spread to whoever has ears to hear? Mm-hmm. And we've not had a time like that until now.
Right. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cool. Well, I think we're about out of time. What do you think?
Did we answer all your questions, Ryan?
I'll have more as soon as you hit the
Next
button.
week we'll talk about the at what point does it go from like Ready Player One to just living the Truman Show?
Yeah.
I think some people are already living the Truman Show with their cameras on themselves all the time.
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
I was so proud of myself, so I'm not that yet. Like I haven't figured out how to use my phone like a director. Oh. And it was at Addie's soccer game. So Addie plays on a girls soccer team, 16-year-olds, and they were playing the 16-year-old boys. And I was given the task from Melissa that get some shots, get some good camera work,
Yeah, get the good stuff.
And I discovered I'm now my dad, who used to have the big camcorder over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And whenever any good play would happen, all you would see on the video is like someone's feet because he's watching with his eyes. And so the 16-year-old girls are playing the 16-year-old boys. Okay. 16-year-old boys are really good. And Addie scores 1 of 2 goals against them. And I'm like, videotaping. Oh, look at that. Those are my shoes. Hey, she made the goal. And you see my arms bouncing up and down. So not completely the Truman Show yet. I'm more Dewey Lura 1984.
Yep.
So
I did hear a while back talking about recording things that if you watch something live, just watching it with your eyeballs straight to whatever's happening, you'll have I can't remember how many times better of retaining that memory than if you watch it through a camera, because your brain knows that you can just go back and watch this again.
Why put any effort into this?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that'll become a thing. Technology will go so far that we're just like, you know what? I just want to see everything live.
Well, I've had the hard time I watch TikTok way too much for somebody who's 25 years old. There are some stinking kids now. There was this one girl who was like, oh my gosh, look at this cool. I got it off of eBay and it's a pink Razr phone. She's like, we should bring this back. Look at how fun this is. And I put my phone down and was like, nope, that's enough internet for today.
Well, I think the thing,
a budding archaeologist right there finding old tech.
I think that, I know a lot of people, DJ, our age, that are totally addicted to their phones and the different things that you can do on your phone, but and young kids use it as well. But it seems like they have more of an ability, a lot of them, to break away from it because it's like, just normal stuff to them. Where to us, I mean, we grew up with tape decks that we made. Valentine boxes.
Do you remember making like cassette tapes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'd record it was a whole thing. It was.
Oh, Sarah, you would have to sit there and wait for the top 9 at 9 to come on and your one song that you wanted to record, and you'd sit there with your hand on the button and then it would come on. So you'd miss that first 3 seconds of it, or maybe longer because it took a while for the recording to actually kick in. Yeah.
I think I have a similar struggle to this because back I had the original cell phones. So you want a ring back or a ringtone or whatever, you would record it from the radio, and it could very easily be ruined by somebody just talking. There goes your whole, you want Taylor Swift as your ringtone? Too bad your mom's yelling at you in the background of it.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of all new personalized technology. You got to go to the radio and record it for yourself. And it becomes yours.
Yep. Top 9 at 9.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I remember recording the Ghostbusters song off of the Ghostbusters movie.
Really?
At the end, off of the VHS was playing, and I cranked up the sound, and I got the boom box real close to it, and I recorded it because I wanted the Ghostbusters song.
The sound quality had to have just been amazing.
Well, halfway through the song, my brother and 2 of his friends were watching the movie too. All of a sudden, they yell, "Ghostbusters!" Ruined it.
Oh, you know what else? Now, you know what else was miserable? You'd get your whole cassette tape done, or your whole VHS tape of all the recording that you wanted, and you forgot to knock the little notch out of there. Remember the little square? There was a little square removable tab.
Keep it from recording.
Yeah, if it was on there, you could re-record forever.
Yeah.
But if it was off of there, you can't record anymore. You forget to take that tab out. Oh.
Well, we had.
You want to talk about misery?
We have many. My parents don't have it anymore, but we had VHS tapes.
Yep.
Of my mom loves Survivor and Big Brother, and there would be some where it would be like, well, I want to record a movie that was on TV, and it was like, okay, yep, get to watch Survivor, into a movie you didn't want.
You know what? We are now the old people who are saying back in my day.
Yeah, back in my. I just did this the other day. I can't remember what it was. Man, I wish I could remember because it would be fantastic right now. But
you are the old man.
Yeah, I know.
If I could just remember, there was something.
Yeah. Yep.
I give it 2 weeks. He'll be setting it like the Perkins or some type of breakfast restaurant.
No. This is terrible. And I let me preface this by apologizing to anybody who loves Perkins or has any sort of skin in the game with Perkins. But when I saw the Perkins being tore down in Jamestown online, I rejoiced.
I was thinking more like breakfast establishment. You know, like old guys go like at least once a week from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Yeah.
The Valley Kitchen, my friend Jason Miller will remember this. We used to go to the Valley Kitchen, and now it's an insurance office right off of Main and I-29.
That is the summit, Sarah. That is a brain trust.
Yeah.
There's amazing things happening in that conversation, but it never goes beyond that conversation. No. It's like solving all the world's problems, but we're going to keep it to ourselves.
Yep. Either for secrecy or because they can't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's too fun just to talk about it. Well, I guess on a final note, this is going to come out after, but happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you, and
we'll see you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
You gonna pray us out of here, Ryan? Throw a riveting in there.
Sure. Yeah. Is that a thing now? Are people getting shirts that say riveting on them?
We might need to, get ahead of the game.
We need some gear.
fanjoy.com/that-podcast.
All right. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this ability, this technology to be able to continue to connect with people, to continue to have these conversations where we talk about different things that we're concerned about or just curious about. God, I thank you for Pastor DJ and what he brings with the knowledge that he shares with us. And Lord, I thank you for Sarah for continuing to come in and help us with this and have fun and join in these conversations. And God, so again, I thank you and amen.
Amen.
All right. So we've got services again on Sunday in person and online at 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. You can find us at atonement.live, atonementfargo.org, or on the YouTube by searching Atonement Fargo. So for, what did I call you? Delura. For Sarah DeYoung and Pastor DJ Lura. See, this is why I need a script. Join us next week for another riveting episode of... Oh, you muted me. That was rotten. You're going to get letters now.
That was neither joyful nor triumphant.
No, we're out of here. Done. Riveting.